This is a car show, trust me, it's all gonna make sense.
This is internal combustion engine power. Shortly after the Army bought this vehicle, we developed this.
Look at this.
It's the electric infantry squad vehicle. It's got an electric motor in it. It's got a battery pack in the back.
This is so cool. I'll take it for a little spin,
All right.
after which our fate shall be revealed, and we'll see what challenge we're up against. So.
All that and more, so let's get to it. Today we test the boundaries of fair use. I recently stumbled across a show on HBO Max, Downey's Dream Cars. If you're not familiar, Robert Downey Jr. making his classic cars more eco-friendly. Very intense production. I'm not going to be playing every episode minute to minute, rather selecting pertinent clips to showcase the viability of electric vehicles and quite frankly how hard it is to actually convert internal combustion engines into battery electric vehicles. There are some interesting things that are here.
If you could see through my eyes, you would be wildly impressed.
Hey Robert, it's great to see you again.
Great to see you again.
Welcome back.
Morning, sir. Captain Ty Napier, I'm your Air Mission Commander for today's flight back to National Training Center. Chalk 1 with you will be your pilot, Mr. Rick Devlin.
Hey, these are the tank areas. You got the tail rotor in the back.
Black Hawk, so cool.
Home loading here. Nice jet sound right there.
Do you want to take two?
This is my life. Do you understand? Whenever I'm on a roll, there's an airplane. It's amazing.
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Please level with me, sir. Do you think this is going to work? We're going to provide quite a challenge for you. As you know, the F-182 Abrams tank is the best tank in the world. It weighs as much as a 747, 72 tons.
This is a car show, trust me, it's all gonna make sense.
This has put us right now, like Oakville, Hollywood. Quick question, what is flowing through this tube? So my opener will just be very vague. Are you ready?
Hold on just a god. We're starting in the helicopter? People don't even know what's going on yet. What is this, an Oliver Stone movie? I mean, I get it. Black Hawks, soldiers, high drama. You know you're in the show. Sorry. A little jumpy. Hi. You may know me as an occasional actor who makes faces for cash and chicken. But really what I am is a red-blooded American boy who grew up in New York, watching The French Connection and Bullet, men and cars, representing their toxic machismo. And man, I wanted in. Click to, 42 years later, I had actually amassed a collection, which is what I thought you're supposed to do when you become successful. You know, you're supposed to collect things. You're supposed to have artifacts of your success. You're supposed to be able to drive these symbols of how you've succeeded in America. But a lot has happened over the last 40 years. Maybe a big problem. My priorities are in a completely different place now, and yet I still love these cars. I feel like they represent something uniquely beautiful about the past, so I want to bring them into the present, maybe even the future.
Many people believe that EVs somehow will erase our history. That'll never be the case. What Iron Man's trying to do right here is admirable. The main question is he gonna fuck cars in the process? Throw enough money at something, you're probably gonna get your desired result.
Pretty quickly, I realized I was going to need some help. Someone with a lot of knowledge and connections in the car world. The kind of guy who always knows a guy who knows a guy. And it just so happens, I know a guy like that.
Techno plate and the windows stick build. From what I see, it looks definitely worth it. My name is Chris Mazzilli. I'm the owner, founder of Dream Car Restorations in New York. We specialize in restoring classic cars, muscle cars, but really our specialty is Corvettes. So Robert reached out to me about doing these eco-friendly type restorations of some of his cars. I knew I could help him out, you know, whether it was us doing some of the work at our shop or connecting with the right people. So in my mind, I kind of pictured he's going to start small, maybe like the car is like a little run down or beat up, and then he rolls this thing in.
So perhaps you're wondering why I've gathered you here in my lair.
So he shows me this 1972 K10 pickup. And this thing is like perfect. It's beautiful. And I'm like, what do you want us to do with this?
We called it the Thanos Thumper because it's big and it's loud and it's purple. It looks like it could eat the world, and it definitely eats a lot of gas. And so when I got this idea to eco-mod some of my car collection, it wasn't too long before I was looking at this beast of a truck, thinking, what if I went electric with that? Is that even possible?
The specially equipped self-made Chevy pickup.
K10 and the C10, which is just the two-wheel drive variant.
Almost as tough as a tank. Well, almost.
These are among the most modded vehicles in the world. So could this thing be emissions-free and yet remain completely and totally badass?
Yeah. Who's taking this all in? It's a lot to take in right now. It's a lot. So the LS comes out?
LS out. And put a Tesla motor in it.
My name is Rich Benoit, and when you want to take your 500 horsepower Corvette motor out of your Chevy K10 and put Tesla motors in, I guess I'm your guy. So looking at this K10, it was built to a super high quality level, and I'm supposed to take this thing apart and make it better? It's kind of freaked me out.
When I told Mazzilli I wanted to go all electric with my K10, he said, I know the exact right guy for this, Rich Benoit. Internet famous for his YouTube channel, Rich Rebuilds. I checked it out, and right away I saw Mazzilli was right. This is the man for the job, because Rich seems to know almost everything about electric drivetrains, and because he also seems completely out of his mind.
I knew Rich would be a good fit for this build. His company has a garage in New Hampshire where they'll do all the work. Dave Weber's my partner at Dream Cars. Dave is a master mechanic. But like I said, we haven't done a lot of EV swaps, so we're going to learn a lot from Rich on this one. And size-wise, what are we looking at for the electric motor?
Half the size, maybe a third the size of this.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big are the batteries? Roughly.
Let's just say 150 to 200 miles of range. You need about an 85 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Is that a lot of kilowatt hours, or is that a normal amount of kilowatt hours?
For reference, we'll go ahead and use Tesla vehicles. The Model 3 battery around 50 to 82 kilowatts. Model Y, 67 to 81 kilowatts. What this thing is probably going to be more equivalent to is the Model S and the Model X, and those have 100 kilowatt battery packs. The Cybertruck, you say? My guess is that even the base model will be over 100 kilowatts. And should you even go as far as a tri-motor, the realm of 200 kilowatts is not outside of possibility.
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I wasn't listening. Honestly.
Dude, you really aren't. You're in a rainbow tie-dye world of your own, aren't you?
I don't know a lot about building electric cars, but I know that putting the batteries in the right place is very important.
Behold Exhibit A of why the transition of internal combustion engines to electric vehicles will be so much harder for Toyota, Ford, and GM. The individuals that will be building these cars are much like Dave here. To assume that Toyota, Ford, GM, or any legacy automaker is going to transition effortlessly is downright ridiculous.
I can tell these guys feel like it's a little crazy for me to be messing with my K10. It's already been immaculately restored. Now I'm gonna re-restore it, but here's the thing. That truck is insanely loud, insanely powerful, pumps out insane amounts of exhaust. It's like the ultimate monument to the internal combustion engine. Now I wanna tear it down and make it into another kind of monument. Quieter, zero emissions, but just as powerful. That's the challenge for Rich and his team. Turn it into the strong, silent type. Just like me.
Oh my god! This thing is awesome! It feels like I'm riding a dragon, almost. It feels like I'm on the inside of the dragon. I don't really have much control over what's going on, but there's so many sounds and different experiences and smells, and like, I'm sitting so high up, it's so fast, it's incredible. And I can assure you, no one's ever converted a truck like this and gone to electric.
These cars that Robert Downey Jr. are going to make eco-friendly have incredible performance, style out the wazoo, But when you're talking about functionality and how it benefits the planet, this truck right here is a prime example of this is unnecessary. Can you rip away all the things that are really bad about it, but still leave all the fun and wow factor to keep that emotional, intangible feeling you get when you see this car or even sit behind the wheel?
Let me give you a basic rundown of the game plan. Here's our K10 pickup truck, 4-wheel drive, completely tricked out. Currently, it has a big supercharged engine and an automatic transmission. Obviously, that's coming out. The exhaust system and the fuel tank are also going away because electric vehicle doesn't need gasoline or pump out exhaust. Now, our basic plan for replacing the powertrain is an electric motor from Tesla that will send power to all 4 wheels. Now, batteries are powering the motor, but those batteries are heavy and take up lots of space. To fit them in the truck, they'll be split between 2 boxes. Where to put the batteries is typically the trickiest part of converting a gas car to an electric car.
You got some work done, didn't you? Oh, yeah, you did. Look at this.
Yeah, just clears too.
So the build's coming along pretty well. Brian made brackets for the electric power steering pump and the AC compressor. Chad mounted the coolers for the batteries and the other components that get hot. And in order to mock up the drive line to understand how that will all fit, we need to know where the front battery box is going to be.
Just too short. As good as my CAD is on the computer, there are things that it doesn't factor in, and it doesn't necessarily capture what it really looks like in the car. So we are now going to switch to the other CAD, which is cardboard aid design.
He's really doing it.
Overall, it's going to be a lot easier than trying to figure it out with full-size, full-weight components.
It's a big-ass box, Brian.
It does have to fit 8 modules in it. And that should do it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like this is almost the ideal height right here. Now we're installing 16 battery modules into the truck. That's 85 kilowatt hours of energy storage. Now these 16 modules will be split between a front and a rear battery box. The rear battery box will be disguised as the kind of toolbox that you see in a lot of pickup trucks. And the front battery box will go right over the motor in the engine compartment. They have a way of just fitting under the hood.
Elon's very fond of saying prototypes are easy. Manufacturing at scale, profitably. That's the trick. And I believe this is why Ford and GM have struggled early on. Now, it takes a while to make electric vehicles profitably, but in essence, you kind of want to start from the ground up. Otherwise, you're bound to run into some problems. I can only imagine how stressful it is building one of these things. Imagine if you had to build 500. How much would that cost? How many man hours would you be losing then? It's no secret, the Ford Lightning's had its share of troubles, evident by Rivian soaring past it as the best-selling EV pickup truck in America. Not as easy as it looks.
This engine compartment has no place to hide anything.
Yeah, it's out in the open, right.
And the DC to DC doesn't look pleasing.
No, it's not very attractive.
Yeah, it's not an attractive part.
An electric vehicle, just like a gas-powered vehicle, it's got a radio, headlights, windshield wiper, backup camera, and all sorts of other goodies that run on, of course, electricity. But that can't suck on the 400 volts coming from the big battery that powers the drive units. That's where the DC to DC converter comes in. It steps the voltage down from 400 to the 12 volt standard that powers all your accessories.
Tesla will be moving from 12 volts to 48. Just another example of how Tesla is not waiting for their competition to disrupt them, they choose to disrupt themselves, adapt, then evolve.
Fort Irwin, a 1,000 square mile base in the middle of the desert where the Army conducts training exercises. I wanted to see and hear firsthand how the Army is anticipating the future in this era of changing energy technology and extreme weather events around the world.
Hey, Robert.
You must be General Taylor.
Yep, nice to meet you.
Wow, what a
Welcome
pleasure.
to Fort Irwin.
Thank you.
Brigadier General Kurt Taylor is Fort Irwin's commanding general.
All right, I'm going to show you how the Army is tackling this problem with energy efficiency. Great. We got a lot of great options with new vehicles coming online and new ways to provide power on the battlefield.
The Army is planning for the future and exploring all sorts of new energy and resource-efficient technology. At Fort Irwin, they've made great progress with water treatment and conservation.
95% of our water is recycled.
They even have a self-sustaining solar-powered hospital.
This is our LEED Platinum hospital. It's the highest possible rating for energy efficiency. Not only can we power the hospital, But we're going to get to the point pretty soon where we can power big chunks of the community as well.
That is so badass.
At this stage of the game, that's what these renewable energy sources do for you. Provide a sensational backup to what you're currently using, but over time, the Army is realizing that those backup sources of power actually are proving to be better as primary, which is definitely aligned with Tesla's mission, transition the world to a sustainable energy economy. That doesn't necessarily mean doing away with all the forms of energy that we've previously used. We're not done with fossil fuels. Not by a long shot. That's a long, long way away. But we have to make the steps now in order to achieve that transition.
Today, I'm here to see their new all-electric tactical utility vehicle.
I got Colonel Chris Vitale here from the Army's Climate Change Division, and he's going to talk to us about what we're doing for the future.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Robert, so I'm the director for the Army Climate Change Office.
When has there been a climate change initiative or even branch?
Within the last year and a half to 2 years, the office has been in existence. What we're responsible for is the coordination and oversight for the Army's climate change strategy. And a lot of people probably don't know that the Army has a climate change strategy.
Sure.
Today, no nation can find lasting security without addressing the climate crisis.
The impacts of climate change can be an issue for national security or operational security. So the Army climate change strategy is designed to produce effects that build resilience for the Army as a whole. The ability to provide self-generation of power, storage, to be able to run a base in the face of, say, a disruption to the microgrid from a weather event or potential effects from adversaries. And so what we're going to show you today is a piece of that climate strategy.
Great.
And that's the vehicle electrification pathway. This is the direction we're going.
It's obviously a tactical advantage to not have to rely on the old school chain of supply issues.
Exactly right. If you don't have fuel to move, we don't have a supply chain vulnerability problem. The benefits are pretty profound.
Excellent.
And this is Mr. Steve Dumont, the president of GM Defense.
Pleasure. Thank you.
This is the Army's newest vehicle. It's the infantry squad vehicle. It's designed for the Airborne Brigade Combat Team. The mission of GM Defense is to bring commercial technology into the defense and government marketplace to harness a big investment that the commercial marketplace is making in cutting-edge technology and doing it in a way that benefits the warfighter.
And this is partly why I say the United States is not going to let General Motors go bankrupt. That's why it's so vital for them to get their next generation vehicles up and running profitably. So we, the taxpayer, do not have to foot this bill to keep this company breathing.
It's airborne deployable. We parachuted it out of a C-130 and a C-17. This provides tactical mobility. This is internal combustion engine powered. Shortly after the Army bought this vehicle, we developed this.
Look at this.
It's the electric infantry squad vehicle. It's got an electric motor in it. It's got a battery pack in the back.
This is so cool.
Performance is incredible. So the infantry squad vehicle, or ISV, started its life as the Chevy Colorado. It's got commercial DNA. We are in the midst of a $35 billion investment in a more electric, autonomous, and connected future. We're going to take a lot of those vehicles now that are internal combustion engine powered and turn them into electric vehicles. The Army is on a journey. It's a journey to understand how to smartly use this new technology. First and foremost, has to give them competitive advantage on the battlefield. The tactical benefit of electric vehicles are, first, it's acoustically near silent. Doesn't have an engine that makes noise like a traditional vehicle does. Furthermore, as a former attack pilot, everything that I targeted, I used the thermal signature to target. That goes away with an electric vehicle. You don't have a hot engine, you don't have a hot hood from the radiated energy, you don't have a hot exhaust system. And oh, by the way, they deliver more power than ICE-powered vehicles. It's an incredibly important part of the future arsenal that the United States Army has.
If it's good enough for the Army, don't tell me that EVs can't be a viable substitute for internal combustion engines.
Drive it like you own it. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so what you'll see right away is that the performance of an electric vehicle, if you kind of step on it, you'll see that instantaneous torque These are non-golf carts. This is a very powerful vehicle. It will cover all terrain that our soldiers needed to cover. Oh yeah, they're gonna get straight away.
Fantastic. Driving that ISV, I couldn't help but think about how the Jeep and the Humvee are military vehicles that became popular consumer cars, and now that type of innovation is happening in reverse. A vehicle created for the military from the bones of a Chevy production model. I smell innovation.
Yeah.
And this electric version of the ISV was born of the same question that I'm asking with my K10. Can you electrify a super-powered vehicle without sacrificing performance? I have to say I'm really encouraged because clearly the Army believes the answer to that question is absolutely. And that's really saying something when you think of what the Army asks of its vehicles. I was blown away by what I saw and experienced at Fort Irwin, and on the drive back to HQ, the General and I started hatching a plan for me to make another visit, maybe by helicopter. We'll have to see about that.
Let me get back here and take a look. Dude, that angle sucks. The center of this transmission tunnel is where that is on the transfer case.
So it's now at an angle.
Like a hard angle. And it's going to hit that back of that drive unit.
So it looks like in this truck with its frame, the likely spot for the motor is here, except the drive shaft to the transfer case, the thing that distributes mechanical power from the motor to both the axles in a 4x4, the drive shaft isn't going to clear the fat end of the motor on its way to the transfer case. Now the guys can try to slide it around to make it work, but it's pretty crowded down there and it's also a very skinny frame to begin with.
Every time we try to put something in here,
It gets worse. This is the problem doing stuff that's never been done before.
Doing stuff that's never been done before. I wonder who does that very well. There's so much that goes into converting these cars to electric. But don't worry, there's nothing that Tesla has that Toyota doesn't have, or GM or Ford. All these other guys are just gonna catch up, lickety-split, and be able to produce millions of cars just like Tesla is doing today. Right?
With this build, we thought there was going to be a lot of clearance around everything because it's just a huge truck. And then turns out we don't have any room. Nothing fits because it's a narrow frame. Just for the hell of it, spin it.
change all the angles.
All right. Oh my god. Did that just make everything easier?
Yeah.
We have clearance for the diff now, for the front diff.
The driveline angle is better and shorter. Because see, because the frame gets wider, right there.
You're right. That's almost
it now sits further over.
So when you turn the motor around, they're right. It does fit. But now, since it's essentially in there backwards, in order to make the truck go forwards, the motor will be going in reverse.
This is something I didn't even think about. Like, honestly, I'd never thought about reverse mounting one of these drive units, ever. Running the motor backwards, it fixes our drive shaft angle, our drive shaft length, the fitment of the drive unit. It seems like everything's getting fixed by flipping this thing around. So, look at this. Let me,
Oh, wow.
So, there's your shaft, right? Now, if I want to move this forward so it actually fits in the adapter hole, now look at your driveline angle.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I've been around quite a few of these Tesla drive units, but it never crossed my mind to run one backwards. Most of the applications that we put them in, they're just the same orientation that they were in the original car. But this is like some next level trickery these guys are working on, and I haven't come across yet.
I believe this is going to fit.
I think so too, man. It looks good.
All right, we're getting into the final stretch. Our reverse drive unit's going in, the drive shafts we had made just arrived, and everything's coming together. Yeah, you're locked in. Will it fit? Will it fit? Yay!
Both drive shafts are in. So right now, if I spin this,
oh yeah. So now we have working four-wheel drive. It's selectable from two-wheel, four-wheel high, or four-wheel lows.
it'd be a fun mud truck.
Yeah.
Like the Florida man talking in me.
I currently am getting our battery boxes assembled. These batteries, when they're all wired up in series, they're up at around 400 volt DC. Pretty scary stuff. These box assemblies keep everything secure, keep people out of them, and also keep water from getting in.
As far as the EV conversion goes, it's electrical from here on out. I'm updating the truck's existing fuse boxes and assembling the wiring harnesses so we can get these battery boxes in here. Anytime you're dealing with EVs, you have high current draw, you're going to get electromagnetic interference, and data wires do not like being next to electric fields. This is my thing. I love doing wiring. Since the obvious place for the rear battery box is in the bed, we're going to go a little stealth and style it as if it was a toolbox. The diamond plate definitely makes it.
In pretty much any work truck, there's that diamond plate toolbox. We definitely want to kind of mimic that same design here. Down. Perfect. This is coming together. Finally. Yeah.
Each of these 16 battery modules can store about 5 kilowatt hours of electricity. That's about 10 miles of range. So in total, 85 kilowatt hours of battery is approximately 150 miles of range. But of course, your mileage may vary. Literally.
There we go. There's a lot of juice there.
There's a lot of juice there. Now, Robert wanted to change the truck to a lighter color, so we decided to do a vinyl wrap. Now, it goes on quick, and it's reversible, which is nice. It's kind of sad to lose the purple, but this is definitely going to look cool. And it's what Robert asked for. He specifically chose this color.
Whenever your boy is graced with the presence of his Cybertruck, there will be a vinyl wrap. I'm just not certain what it might be at this stage of the game. I might just rock it naked for a while, but I'm going to want that added shock value. I'm certain of it.
Lighter colors on cars reflect about 60% of sunlight, which translates into the cabin staying 5 to 6 degrees cooler than a car painted a darker color. Using the AC draws down battery power, reduces range. One study estimated that using the AC on full blast will reduce an EV's range by 17%. That's less miles you can travel on a charge, more electricity you're paying for, and just more power being pulled off the grid. That's why I decided to turn the purple people eater into the Great Ghost.
Wheels are torqued. Sweet.
We're gonna do this.
Today's big day because I think today is hopefully the day that we'll actually get the wheels to spin. I'm just doing this just in case. So I'm generally a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, but we went out on a limb for this build, so failure's not an option for this one.
Brakes work. Drive. And throttle.
Get out of here. Is that it?
It's turning.
How about that?
No way.
And guess what? It's turning the right way. What's that noise, though? You know what? I think that's the drive shaft breeze.
No, that thing's really annoying.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that. Now, the amount of effort that went into building this truck for Robert was absolutely insane. The guys pretty much worked around the clock, which is amazing.
Yes.
We have 1 or 2 bugs to work out, but otherwise, this thing is perfect. I can't wait to see Robert's reaction when we give it to him. I think he's gonna love it. Chad, where are we, dude?
If nowhere was a place, this is it.
Once the truck was finished, instead of throwing a party for me at his house in Malibu, Robert did something a little odd. He gave me a date, time, and coordinates.
What the hell?
It's a roadblock? We in trouble? Your record's clean, right?
These guys look serious.
This is all we need right now.
Good morning.
Morning. We have coordinates here to meet Mr. Robert Downey Jr.
Follow me.
Okay. Where are we?
Hey, look.
What is that?
Flying saucer.
You don't think Robert's on that, do you?
Why would he be?
Of course I'm on it. Didn't he see the beginning of the show?
Okay, there should be a civilian vehicle called a K-10.
I told you it would all make sense. I'm making good on that promise. So, I'm headed back to Fort Irwin to get my first look at my now electrified K10 pickup. I told those guys I wanted them to convert it to an EV and still retain all of its power. And to prove I meant business, I asked the general if he would help me put it to the test to see if it's more than just tough, if it's Army tough.
We're going to provide quite a challenge for you.
I'm so confused right now.
That was a hell of an entrance. General Taylor, Rich and boys.
Hey, Rich.
Good to meet you.
Meet you.
Chad.
Hey,
It's been a minute. Great to see you. The general is going to do what he can to give us
a challenge.
Oh, being challenged
Yes.
today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
And
good.
his base, his rules, so we're gonna have to see if we can meet the standards of the U.S. Army.
Absolutely, we got a lot of great equipment here for you, and we could definitely give you a challenge.
General, I know you have some work to do, so I'll leave you to it. Thank you very much. Whatever you throw at us, we'll try to run with it.
All right, be ready.
All right.
Be great. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now that I've blown your minds,
Yep.
it's your turn. She looks great.
It's not the purple people eater anymore. Color match the wheels to the body, color match the bumpers as well. It reminds me of like 80s G.I. Joe now, kind of. You know?
Yeah.
Rich, let's see what's under the hood.
All right. Here's the business. Wow. Mr. Downey.
That is a big old black box.
So right here, we have approximately half of the battery pack. The other half is in the rear, and we disguised it cleverly as a toolbox. So underneath, we have a single motor driving both the front and the rear axles.
Oh boy. Nice.
Looks like a toolbox.
I will mount this steed. Okay. What's new?
There's no longer a shifter to shift the gears.
Of course.
So now it's touchscreen.
I am so pleased with the way this turned out.
This was the most fun truck I'd ever driven when it was gasoline. It's equally, if not more so, fun now.
I'll take it for a little spin,
All right.
after which our fate shall be revealed, and we'll see what challenge we're up against. So I hope you guys are as confident as you seem. Ready?
Not that it matters to Iron Man, but I'm curious, how much did he pay for this rebuild of this magnificent creature? If someone knows the answer, leave the comments down below, or if you just want to take a guess, by all means.
Driving the truck was a revelation. The first time I stepped on it, it was bananas. You're so used to hearing the way that engine got up. It's really hard to describe how loud that truck used to be, like Black Hawk helicopter loud. Now it really reminded me of driving that electric ISV, the feeling of enormous power without the usual sonic cues from the engine. Not silent exactly, but bizarrely quiet compared to what it was. And, loud or not,
Hey, yo!
you still get plenty of attention driving this thing. So all that's to say, I love it. Almost as much as I love seeing Rich squirm. I can tell he's just a little nervous about our test.
What in the heck? What are we doing here? I don't have a military clearance, though. Do you have yours? No.
Well, good afternoon.
Now I'm a little worried. Yep, that was cool.
The moment of truth. Rich,
Yeah.
this thing was a beast.
Hmm?
I wanted to lose no power while we converted it to EV,
Yep.
but I also couldn't just let you off the hook.
Clearly.
So I asked my friends here at the fantastic Fort Irwin. General Captain, what have you devised?
All right, so you know that the most awesome weapon on the modern battlefield is the M1A2 Abrams tank. I've got Captain Ray Donovan here,
Oh, yeah.
who is our tank company commander in the 11th ACR, and he's going to talk to you about the test that we've designed.
Yes, sir. Today we heard about your challenge, so we want to bring down the M1A2 SEP V2 Abrams for you, 72 tons of freedom, and give you that opportunity to pull it with your rig, sir.
Wait, pulling a tank with whose rig?
Wow. You know, I'm looking at this, and, what's the thing it's on?
Well, this is the heavy equipment transport truck and the M1000 trailer that we haul the vehicles around with.
And so the tank weighs about how much?
It's 72 tons.
And what about the truck?
48 tons, sir.
Huh.
Combined, that's 120 tons. It won't be able to pull that.
Okay, well, Rich wants to do that instead. What do you say, people? You have Rich pull both of them? Yeah, come on. God, I really like the way you think.
Yeah.
I like the way you think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great, let's do that.
All right, well, let's see. Let's give it a shot.
All
right, yeah. All right, we'll see.
Great idea, buddy.
Thank you very much. Can I talk to you for a second, Robert, in the truck for a minute? So they were going to unload this 70-ton tank off the trailer for us to tow, which was bad enough. And then Robert says, hey, let's tow the tank and the transport truck, which is 120 tons total, 240,000 pounds. This far exceeds the capacities of the truck. So I'm nervous. I'm like, look, I'm shaking. Look at this hand. What was this truck designed to pull back in the 70s?
Maybe 5,000 pounds?
So a little over.
I think we're going to need to want to add some weight to the back of your rig.
Add more weight to the bed?
I'm thinking at least 200, 300 pounds.
And that's the only way she's going to bite. Probably air down the tires, too. The amount of weight we're going to be pulling is vastly outnumbering what this truck weighs, so traction is going to be an issue. So putting the weight in is actually a great idea. Want to check it real quick?
What are you at, 25?
25. 50% might pull this off. 50% we might blow it up.
Wow, I didn't even see them back there. Look at all those guys in the tanks, man.
Ow. All right, Robert. You're driving, right? Yes. Drive. Let's do it.
You're ready? Ready to go ahead and cruise forward?
Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh. Told. You got this. You'll feel the truck pull. Keep going. Ease into it. She's gonna want to bite. Ease into it.
So I had this little idea to mod some of my cars to be more eco-friendly, and to quote my good friend Ron Burgundy, boy, that escalated quickly. When I came up with this whole concept, I did not see myself ending up towing hundreds of thousands of pounds with my newly EV pickup truck.
You killed it.
But you know what they say, when in Rome?
Up in my style.
These guys took my Thanos Thumper, a gas-drinking, carbon-belching dragon of a vehicle, and turned it into a stealth weapon capable of superhero feats of strength. With the help of General Taylor and the amazing people of Fort Irwin, we proved you can have epic amounts of power and torque without all the gas and the noise and the exhaust. So I'm calling Downey's first dream car is a big win.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm not exactly certain about the variables of the test, but it stands to reason that at least 60-70% of the test is valid. Either way, Robert Downey Jr.'s converted truck is a monster. And though it is not the same as before, some would say, like a Pokemon, it has evolved into its higher form of being. Something a little more sustainable, with increased power and a brand new stealth mode, while retaining its core aesthetic principles. I hoped you gained a little more insight on what EVs are going to be like in the future and how we can keep traveling down the path of a sustainable energy economy. Transition will not be easy, but it's absolutely necessary. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.